We have our second major trade of the season. The spicy pea seasoning is headed to a new cabinet. We've got the MVP battle, Jokic versus Embiid. Let's get into foul trouble.
The spicy pea seasoning is going to a new cabinet.
It is, bro.
That might be your best intro ever. I gotta give it you your flowers right there, man.
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone listening has heard, but we got Pascal Siakam, power forward for the Raptors. He was a star. He was huge in the NBA Finals for them a couple years ago. He's headed to the Pacers, and the Raptors are going to receive Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, 3 first-round picks, 2 in 2024 and 1 in 2026. They're also going to get Kira Lewis from the Pelicans, and the Pelicans, the big winners, getting straight cash.
There we go. That cash money, that cold hard green. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of trade grades here.
Yeah.
What was your immediate reaction?
So this is a weird trade to grade because if they can get a guarantee that Siakam's going to stay, I like it for the Pacers just because I feel like Halliburton has kind of elevated their floor to the point where I'm not sure these picks are going to, be a pathway to being good. So I think for a Pacers team where it's like maybe Halliburton can keep ascending, you kind of have to kind of build incrementally. So I feel like in the last 3 weeks, we've gone over trades and team constructions, and I've been very against this type of team construction. But a guy like Halliburton makes your floor so high that it's kind of hard to build in a traditional way. But the problem is Siakam, this whole season has been I want to be a free agent. I want to experience being a free agent. I want to know what it's like. And Woj tweeted, quote, Siakam is expected to be eager to work out a new contract. So the only inclination we have that Siakam might sign an extension is we're speculating on what his emotions will be 5 months from now, which I don't know, man. Woj is great. He reports the news, but
it's a dangerous game to play for sure.
The emotion speculation game is really
if I'm
else.
An Indiana Pacers fan, I am definitely losing a little bit of sleep over that. But when's the last time we saw somebody, I guess it was the Raptors, the last time we saw a real all NBA level star get traded to a team, play out his contract just the rest of that year and then piece it. So, I mean, you got to think, Pascal, we can at least move forward assuming he's going to stay for a while.
Let's operate under the assumption that Pascal Siakam signs a long-term extension and that it's for a good amount of money, maybe his max. Do you think Siakam's going to get a max?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, okay.
I don't think anyone would give him his max except for the Indiana Pacers.
Okay. But so then leverage maybe?
Exactly. That's the leverage. That's the game right there.
Okay, so Siakam probably a low 40s, mid to high 30s contract per year annual value. Then I'm going to give this trade a B plus, a B for the Pacers.
Okay. What is taking that away from an A? Just the contract length?
It's really the trajectory of Pascal's jump shot is what is taking it away, because I think what's fun about this Pacers is they're flying up and down the court. There's all this shooting. And I think it's really fun, and deep down, something has to change for the Pacers to, ascend to one of the top 4 teams in the East. It's fun being the greatest offense ever, but if it relies so much on flying up and down the court, jacking up a lot of threes, and not being really that big and having a big paint presence, you kind of look like the Kings last year, where you're a really fun story, but ultimately when you're playing with the really great teams, you probably don't come through. I'm giving it a B just because I do think Siakam is a little bit of a risky gamble.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, he's 30, which different folks in NBA history, that number has meant a lot of different things. I love the fit for the Pacers with Pascal Siakam. The big one reason why I think Pascal hasn't really looked like himself this year on the Raptors, and really last year as well, is the Raptors spacing has just been whack.
The thing is, last year the Raptors spacing was pretty bad. It's kind of good this year.
It's a little bit it's a little bit better, but the main place where Pascal gets his bones is in transition. He's a devastating transition player, and he's almost always consistently in the 90th percentile for forwards in points per possession in transition plays, in points per play for transition plays. And previously in his pretty much entire career, the Raptors have always been around that 86th percentile, 90th percentile for how much they're getting in transition. This year, they're in the 27th percentile. And the Pacers are top 5 in the league in generating transition opportunities.
Yeah, Halliburton is like a one-man transition generator. I guess for me, like that's actually a really, really good point. Like while he'll fit in so seamlessly, I guess for me, like usually when I think about these trades, like what do you look like in the playoffs where transition opportunities tend to just dwindle down? Like I just tend to gravitate more towards stars that boost your half-court offense a little bit more than your transition offense. But that is a great point. Like if Siakam is a great player to kind of run up and down the court, and I really do like that Siakam, even though like I've had like, you know, the jump shot I feel like is declining. Like the great Siakam is like the spinning into the lane, getting layups, like using his kind of, you know, match of like height and speed and agility to kind of get past more stiffer like big men. And I do like that this gives the Pacers more like paint oomph.
Exactly. And like obviously he's not like the ideal star to be playing in the half court, but he's a hell of a lot better than Obi Toppin.
Yeah. And you still have Obi Toppin. So yeah, that's a really interesting. I honestly, the big loser of this trade, if it's anyone, it's Obi Toppin. But I don't think Obi Toppin is a big loser in this trade though, because like Obi Toppin's shooting 42% from 3. Like Obi Toppin is, maybe it's like this is a 1 year, you know, this next year I doubt he's at that again, given his history of being a jump shooter. But like Obi Toppin, like he's played himself into a role where I don't see how I think he's still going to get good minutes on this team because they could play a small ball lineup. If the other, like when I saw the Raptors in person, it's against Anthony Davis and he's giving Siakam all sorts of problems, right? But there's not a lot of those guys in the league. Like on most nights, the Pacers should be able to trot out a Siakam, Toppin, you know, lineup with like crazy spacing with Halliburton. And I feel like Toppin's still gonna have a big role in this team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's gonna have like no role. I'm just like, you're on an expiring deal. You came in, you were the starter on this like super feel good roster, and now like for the stretch run, you don't get to show off like what you can do before your restricted free agency.
Well, here's something I hadn't considered with this trade that I don't know. Let me know what you think, but like I feel like Toppin's big weakness athletically is his horizontal movement, right? Like the guy is an incredible leaper. He's got good speed. He's a very good athlete, but with a lot of these kind of taller guys, it is that like change of direction, that horizontal movement.
He's like a buffalo.
Yeah. So playing him at the 3 is a little dicey on defense, but like, could you play a jumbo lineup with Turner, Siakam, and Toppin?
I mean, I feel
the
like idea.
I
Why
feel
not?
like because has the shooting ability, like I don't know if that'll be a good defensive lineup. Just given
Pacers sell on defense anyway.
Yeah, so like, all right, if you're gonna be bad, you may as well be big and get the rebounding up. Like I feel like the Pacers. You know what, Patrick? I'm giving them an A.
Let's go. Well, you're right there with me, baby.
No, you've talked me into it. I actually really like the like lineup versatility the Pacers have with the Siakam trade, and like again, love the paint oomph. Like this could be really good for them.
The other thing we haven't even talked about is I think his fit with Miles Turner is just awesome. Like,
yeah.
We saw how optimized he was. Of course, Miles Turner isn't the kind of center that is like a hub on offense, but he stretches the floor in a similar way to like what Marc Gasol did in kind of the prime, like best we've ever seen of Pascal Siakam. So I really like that fit as well. I just think like it pretty, in my mind, it dramatically raises the Pacers ceiling. Problem with that is the East is kind of like
so here's the question
tiered.
Some people have, I had some friend ask me, do you think, I like the trade for the Pacers, but I don't think it raises their ceiling, because your ceiling isn't just decided by how good you are, it's decided by how good the teams are around you as well. And I feel like the East has a very clear top 3.5, which is the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, and the Heat are the half team.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like I don't like the Pacers team against any of those teams in a series. I mean, I guess they kind of have Milwaukee's number.
It makes it even worse for the Bucks.
But I feel like come playoff time, that's not going to stick personally.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see them. I definitely can't see them beating any of those top threes, the Boston, the Milwaukee. I don't know. If everything goes right in a Milwaukee series and they just have a Heat-esque meltdown, maybe. But before this trade, I definitely would have picked against them in a series against Cleveland, in a series against New York. And now it's like, I don't know. It's the kind of thing where I want to see it on the court first, but I could see myself down the road picking them over either one of those teams. I mean, it's just like, it's a good amount of star power. You've got two like solid all NBA talents now that are really optimized by fit.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I mean, so right now, coincidentally, they are slated to play the Bucks in the first round, which like I don't know if that'll hold because the Pacers are 23-17. They've been pretty good like as of late. I mean, chances are the East standings are not what they're going to be right now. We have like basically a three-way tie between the Knicks, Heat, and Pacers between 5 and 7. The Cavs are like kind of close to them as well. So I think we're going to see a lot of jumbling between those four teams between the 4 and the 7 spot. But
yeah,
let's talk about this from the Raptors side.
I have one more thing that I just want to point out. I think he also has the perfect coach. Rick Carlisle, if there's one thing that we have seen him do over the course of his career, it's optimize these kind of unique power forwards. We saw it with Dirk, like the Jermaine O'Neal experience. He had his best years ever under Rick Carlisle. So I just think, yeah, it's awesome to see him go to kind of a all-time power forward whisperer. But yeah, let's get into it for the Raptors.
So the Raptors are getting the picks. They're getting Bruce Brown. I mean, they pick up Jordan Nwora. Jordan Nwora was playing 10 minutes a game on the Pacers. That feels more like a filler to me, or maybe a long down the road type guy. So 2 picks in this year's draft, which like, as we've talked about, like a lot of people consider this to be a weaker draft. So we'll see how those picks pan out. I mean, even though this draft is considered weaker, I would say by many, a lot of the times the way people determine a draft class's strength is the top end talent, and the reality is like a lot of NBA teams are getting guys who can become good rotation guys within 2-3 seasons, like up and down the first round.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's always good to like get more bites of the apple. Looking into like what these picks really are. So 2 picks in 2024, like you said. One of them is Indiana's pick, which I think it's safe to assume that is not going to be a lottery pick at this point, especially with the addition of a guy like Pascal Siakam. And then the other one is going to be the worst pick of OKC, Utah, Houston, and the Clippers. So that will probably be
the OKC or Clipper pick, which
in
will not
the
be
very bottom. And then you've got the Pacers 2026 first rounder, 1 through 4 protected. I'm not sure what the protection is like going down the line.
Yeah,
they're kind of fake first round.
They're kind of
I mean, not fake, but they're weak first round.
Especially that 2026 Pacers pick, because if we think Halliburton's going to keep ascending and the Pacers keep building on the team, like I assume they're going to probably crack that top 4 in the East within that year. But anyway, they also get Bruce Brown, which I feel like is the big headline of the trade, because a lot of people are speculating Bruce Brown might get traded. The Raptors are finally trading people. They finally traded OG. They finally traded Siakam. They're finally ready to enter their new era built around Scotty Barnes. But I kind of feel like Bruce Brown's a nice player to have for a team that seems, maybe not this year, but in the past has been a little delusional about where they are in the standings. Like, I know a lot of people are like, where is he going to get rerouted? Do you think there's a world where they keep him? He has a $23 million team option this summer.
Possibly. They don't own their pick for this year, so I think it's top 8 protected to the Spurs. So there is a little bit of like, why not like go for it, get that pick out the door so you don't keep pushing it down the line. Be like a play-in team. They're right around that range right now.
You know, the Raptors are such a weird team because I kind of feel like they've been winning nonstop lately. And I'm looking at the standings. They're 16-25 and they're 4-6 on their last 10. So I guess they probably are better off rerouting Bruce Brown. The problem is, I know Bruce Brown went from one generational passer to the next, but for whatever reason, man, one of those passers seems to have had a little bit better effect on Brown, and that passer is Jokic. So Brown's jump shot is way down this year again. And I think that's kind of the thing with Denver, was he was like a really good shooter. The cutting was great. And I feel like it's one of those things where I feel like, not to get into the whole nitty gritty, but like structurally, it's a lot better when your center is the guy averaging 12 assists than the point guard, because that means the passes are coming from the center of the court and guys are kind of like galloping toward the rim and stuff. And it's one of those small things. It's like, why, like, if you were to have the perfect center or perfect point guard, you take the center every time. But, like, I don't know where I'm going with that. But basically, Brown has not been as good as he was with Denver last year. And so I'm wondering what his value is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, part of Bruce Brown's appeal is him on the defensive end. And I'm sorry, Pacers fans, like, there is just no one could look good in that, like, Pacers defensive system. I think he's still got enough, like, heat from the championship run that I think most good teams are going to look into him. He doesn't make an absurd amount of money, $20 million ish a year. $22 million a year. The tough thing and why I think the Raptors should capitalize on this asset right now is he is only on a 2-year contract. There's a team option. I think it's
this summer. Team option for
this summer,
million.
2 days after the draft. And if you hold on to Bruce Brown, obviously we've seen guys with questionable jump shots. It's been harder for them to survive around Scotty Barnes. If they keep holding on to Bruce Brown and they push the ball down the hill a little bit more and he looks terrible, it's the kind of thing where it's going to be really hard to get value. So I kind of feel like the time is now. And I have come up with a bunch of Bruce Brown trades if you want to go over a couple. My favorite one is Bruce Brown to New York. It would be for Evan Fournier and Quentin Grimes. You get a little like youth infusion. The Knicks still have the problem of the guy in the Quentin Grimes spot can't shoot at all. But I feel like Bruce Brown has proved it in the playoffs. He's a super Tibbs guy, and you throw in one of their weaker first-round picks, maybe that Dallas first-round pick from this year.
And he feels very much like this year's version of the Josh Hart trade last year, where Josh Hart came in, and it's like, we love Josh Hart. I could totally see that again with Bruce Brown.
Exactly. So I really like that one. I wanted to throw your way. How do you feel about a Kyle Lowry homecoming for a Bruce Brown and Thad Young package?
Ooh, I like that. I mean, the Lowry, has just been kind of I don't know. The Lowry experience is weird, right? Like, he was pretty bad for us all last regular season. The playoffs come and it's like, hey, I'm back, y'all. But no, I'd rather gamble on Bruce Brown and
I think he's a very heat culture guy.
Yeah, I'd rather gamble on that than Kyle Lowry's like aging. But
yeah,
what are the Raptors? Why do they want to do that trade?
Yeah, that's kind of the tough thing. I mean, you get Kyle Lowry back. It's a great like feel good moment after just trading maybe the like greatest development project your franchise has ever produced.
I think,
but it's tough. Like I guess he don't really have picks to send. They could send a 2024.
Personally, I think the Raptors are going to keep Brown. I think the Raptors always seem to view themselves a little bit more highly than the rest of the league views them. And I feel like Brown's jump shot, because it's down to like 32%, like reasonably could get back up to 35, 36. And like when you're in that number, that's pretty good. And Scotty Barnes' jump shot has evolved to the point where I think having guys like this and letting Barnes be more of a facilitator now with Siakam gone, like, and because like one thing I've loved about Bruce Brown, and like I loved him on that Nets team, like his cutting ability. He's such a good cutter. Like, honestly, the team that'd be perfect for him, and it sucks because there's no way they can get him, is your Suns. Like,
oh my god, yeah,
bro,
he would
like
be
he played so well off of KD, and that's why he played so well off of Jokic. And like, I'd love to see him on a team like or a Warriors, like a team where the stars value comes from shooting. But I think they're going to keep him, man. Like, I think he can slot in and play nice, and it gives the Raptors other versatility. Like, they could trade Gary Trent, they could keep Gary Trent. Like, I don't know. I think the Raptors are.
Can I give you my Warriors trade?
Yeah.
This one's a little crazy. So it would be Andrew Wiggins for Andrew Wiggins and Moses Moody.
Andrew Wiggins for Andrew Wiggins.
And then Bruce Brown and Otto Porter Jr. Someone that we've already seen in the Warriors system. We know that it works. Bruce Brown, I feel like, is a very Warriors guy. And they get off the crazy Andrew Wiggins contract. Maple Jordan goes back up north, and you're sweetening the pot with Moses Moody. Who says no first?
The
Both,
Raptors.
probably.
The Raptors say no first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Warriors say no too. Yeah, I think both teams. I think the Warriors are like, I don't want to give up Moody.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they would to get off Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
4 years left, over $24 million a year for Andrew Wiggins.
But see, that's the thing.
For
The
expiring money.
The Raptors don't want to do that.
Yeah, but maybe they're in love with Moses Moody.
I think if they're in love with Moses Moody, he'd already be a Raptor.
He would be an incredible fit for like around Scotty, right next to IQ. I mean, this trade is probably
This
not
is not
happening.
going to happen.
But I thought it was interesting in its own right.
So what are you grading this for the Raptors?
C.
Oh, okay. See, I'm actually higher on it for the Raptors. I actually really like this trade for the Raptors because I think Siakam was going to leave. And I don't think they were going to get much more value than this.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They did this trade 2 years too late.
They did it 2 years too late, but
And I don't really think once everything's all said and done, what do you have from this trade?
well, we'll see
3
how
late
the picks
first
convey.
round. Yeah, we'll see how the picks convey.
But also, like, Bruce Brown is a really good player. Like, I know he's down shooting this year, but like, we've seen him be really good key role piece on 2 really good teams. So like, I mean, like, maybe they extend Bruce Brown on like a more reasonable long-term deal. Like, and I kind of like that for them too. So I'm actually going to give the Raptors a B on this one as well.
Okay, there we go.
All right. Should we get to the MVP battle?
Yes, why don't we?
So the other night we had the 2 MVP favorites, Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid, face off. Embiid took the victory. Embiid had 41 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists. Jokic had 25 points, 19 rebounds, 3 assists. Now I know we both coincidentally did the writing down the plays, but can I go through my play log for you?
Absolutely.
So the game is tied 111 with 7 minutes, 28 seconds left. Jokic and Embiid both check into the game at the same time. So first possession, Nicholas Batum is on Jokic, so Embiid can kind of roam and play help defense. It's not working well. Jokic gets Maxey on a switch, easy floater. Maxey comes flying down the court, answers. Next possession, Embiid is now on Jokic. Finally, we're getting the true MVP battle. He walls off an entry pass to Jokic, then gets an amazing contest on Reggie Jackson. He runs the floor in transition and does this insane high-speed Euro step that puts on Jokic that puts Philly ahead. Then we get Jokic. This is where you kind of get the make or miss league of the NBA. Jokic is switched on to Tobias. Embiid creeps over because he's like, Tobias has no shot here. Jokic instantly finds KCP, who's open because Embiid's like, oh shit.
Absolute dime.
Absolute dime. And he misses from Jokic's gravity. And that's one of those like, maybe if KCP hits that, we're talking about a different game, but that's the make or miss nature of the NBA. Then Embiid just takes over. He toys with Gordon out of the triple threat, cashes an and one jumper. Next possession down, he hits a 3 over Jokic. Then he hits next possession down, he hits another jumper over Gordon. And then Jokic finally answers with a jumper like a couple possessions later. But like this game was just all Joel Embiid putting his stamp on the MVP and saying, this is mine.
Yeah, and in that like kind of Joel heat check moment, there's also 2 turnovers from Jamal Murray in that time. I felt like his teammates should have done like a little bit of a better job to let him run the show at that moment. But yeah, I mean, I think Joel Embiid had his MVP moment here. And whether or not he plays enough games to
That's the thing.
qualify,
I think Embiid has 7 games left he can miss to qualify for the MVP award.
I feel like I don't even know what to say if he's not eligible to even be voted on for this award.
First team.
Yeah, like it would be such an indictment on the NBA. I think this whole rule change was kind of a reactionary thing to just like
Load management.
the load management narrative, which have they solved it?
Well,
I don't know, but
like,
it's just going to ruin people's like legacies.
Well, so here's the other big thing. Embiid has already kind of gotten screwed because like All-Star is the 2 front court, the 3 back court, right? Like all NBA for whatever reason is like 2 back court, 2 front court, 1 center. And so last like 3 seasons, we've had this thing where Jokic and Embiid are 1 and 2 in MVP, but one of them is on the second team, which is just like, why is one of the 2 best players, definitively 2 best players, on the second team? But that I don't get.
It's the way it's always been. You look back to Wilt and Bill Russell. One of them made the first team All-NBA every single year. I honestly hate the change. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to get like a real picture of like position groups when looking back onto history when we don't have that all NBA to suss that out. We already have a functional way, or we already had a functional way to look at the top 5 guys, the top 15 guys in the league. That was by MVP voting win shares. If you wanted to see that, you could see it. You could see how dominant Joel Embiid's been over the last, 6 years by just seeing that he's number 2 or number 3 in the MVP votes every single year. And he's also like been racking up second team all NBAs. And was he first team last
year was the only year. Yeah. I don't know. To me, I don't really agree because it's just, it's weird to me. I don't know. To me, I just find it weird that we have a team that's like, here are the 5 best players that are like supposed to be by position, but it's like, I don't know. To me, it's weird that Embiid and Jokic, one of them will be second team when it's just like, clearly they're the 2 best players in the NBA right now, in my opinion.
Yeah. I just feel like that's how it's always been. Now it's just going to be even muddier when we're looking back on people's careers going forward.
Yeah. Well, I guess going back to this MVP discussion, because like earlier in the season, we did our first MVP check-in at like the quarter mark, and me and you were like, no one's going to catch Jokic. What he's doing is ridiculous. And it feels like ever since that conversation we had, Joel Embiid has just completely risen to the occasion and like, I feel like surpassed Jokic.
Yeah, I agree
quite
with
a bit
you.
now in this MVP race.
I mean, like, I'm not like... It is kind of a runaway just because of the like crazy massive scoring that Joel's been able to produce. Like,
but it's not just the scoring; he's been the best defensive center metrics wise in terms of like defensive field goal allowed. Like Embiid has been like the best player on both sides of the court this season.
But I mean, I just think like Jokic has been absolutely incredible as well. But just the scoring is what puts Embiid way over the top for me currently. And I
still, like, personally, if I'm entering the playoffs, I still think I'd rather have Jokic just because you still even see it in this game where Embiid completely, like, takes over. There was a possession where it's like Embiid gets the ball in the paint and he's like, I'm going to just force a shot because I'm Joel Embiid. And it's like, I still think, like, with every year, it seems like the Sixers get incrementally better at, like, okay, how do we get Joel the ball in a big spot where he's not gonna turn the ball over, because I still feel like Embiid is a little susceptible to like double teams, and like to me that's why I still think Jokic is the best player in the world. But in terms of regular season MVP, I think Embiid actually has kind of like a sizable gap right now.
Yeah, he's definitely got the lead in any like sense of the word. Yeah, it's so crazy, this like kind of moment, this 6-year run of NBA regular season play that we've had from Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid. I was trying to look back over the course of history. When have we had like 3, for the most part, like true bigs, true centers, or any single position group that has dominated the regular season like these 3 men have had? I can't find it, to be honest.
Well, maybe not as dominant regular season numbers wise, but I think that 2000s with, the Nash MVPs and the Kobe MVP maybe kind of muddies the water of like Duncan, Garnett.
Yeah, Duncan,
Dirk,
Garnett,
Shaq, Dirk, that kind of foursome of big men that really were really special.
Yeah. I mean, my only thing with like that point, and I guess like Steph has kind of been in that conversation as well during this run. But like Kobe was like such like a stalwart in the like who's the greatest player in the league right now. I was looking like kind of like Bob Pettit, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain was like kind of there, but then there was like Oscar Robertson was kind of in the mix as well. It's just like a super special moment for the league right now, and the big man as like an idea, being able to reestablish the importance of bigs in the way that they have. It's really cool to see.
And I think this era is like, kind of just starting. Like we're gonna get Wemby soon. Like Chet looks great. Like, and that's the thing is what's fun about it is it's evolving, right? Like when Chet and Wemby hit their apex, it's gonna look so different than what Embiid and Jokic and Giannis all look like, right? Those guys are so different than these three guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, just the size and skinniness of Wemby, how that like progresses juxtaposed against just our thick kings, Jokic and Embiid.
It's fun. We're getting Wemby versus Embiid coming up pretty soon, so that'll be a fun matchup. You know, Jokic kind of like had his way with Wemby. Wemby had a couple blocks on Jokic, but overall, like Jokic kind of had his way on him. And I'm curious what it looks like with Embiid because, you know, I feel like Jokic is definitely the more crafty of the two. Mm-hmm. And Embiid is more of the like, I'm gonna fucking try to dunk on you.
Exactly. Embiid is definitely more of a guy who's gonna take it personally. That just like anyone said that Wemby was a good center.
Yeah, and you know one thing I really love about Joel Embiid and like why he's kind of been one of my favorite players. And I feel like this is something like a lot of old NBA stars, but like there's something about Joel Embiid where he's kind of like a showman.
Absolutely.
And I think like obviously
the jump shot over Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, but like it's and the suck it celebration.
Yes.
But it's like it's kind of like, you know, I feel like Jokic and Embiid, and this is like why I feel like, you know, when you really look at it, like, okay, Jokic is probably better because of something like this, the mindset. Whereas Jokic is coming into a game like that, like, I'm here to get the Denver Nuggets a win. Whereas Embiid's like, I'm here to get 3 highlights on Jokic and try to get the win. And I think like playing to the crowd, and it's like, it's just really fun and joyful to watch Embiid. And I know a lot of people hate the like foul drawing stuff, but at the same time, it's like for all the gimmicky fouls Embiid draws, like the man gets hacked a lot. Like there was a possession yesterday where Gordon just like hammer chopped him and they didn't call it. And it's like, this is kind of what happens when you get players like Embiid or even Jokic, like where when you get that good at basketball, it's kind of hard to stop them without fouling them.
Yeah.
It's like that's how Shaq was.
And they're so big.
That's how LeBron was in Miami. Like that's the reality of the situation is like, yes, he's getting some of those gimmicky calls, but he's also getting like not getting a lot of calls when he's actually getting hacked. So it kind of all evens out in my book.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be if Embiid over the next 2 to 3 years can do the thing and win a championship, and each one of these guys has 2 MVPs, one finals MVP. It'll just be honestly like one of the most fun like minor debates. I don't think any of these guys are going to get into like the LeBron, MJ territory, but being able to debate like who your favorite guy was between Embiid, Giannis, and Jokic for the rest of time is just going to be like one of those all-time great, like, who's your guy?
Well, actually, I'm going to go counter on that. I think the pathway for either of these guys, for Embiid, it's going to be way harder because he doesn't have the championship yet, but if Jokic wins like 3 championships, like he's already got more than Olajuwon. He'll have more than like Robinson. Like Ewing, I feel like is already beneath both of these guys. Like Howard, last year there was like a weird like Embiid Howard discourse, which is crazy to me because Embiid is such a good defensive player and he's 30 times the player on offense Howard ever was. Like, I don't know, man. Like I think both of these guys, if either of these guys got to 3 rings, like they're kind of right there with like Shaq in the all-time centers.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough for me to put either one of these guys with a guy like Shaq right now, because of the postseason success.
Yeah, right now. But I'm saying in a world where one of these guys wins 3 rings.
Yeah, in a world where one of these guys wins 3 rings, it's more of a conversation for sure. But also, like, Shaq's postseason success in his younger years was a lot greater than, even though he wasn't able to break through and win a championship with the Magic, I think it kind of stands above what any of these guys were able to do. Also, postseason, like fallbacks, failures, I think these guys are leading on like Shaq's pace right now. But yeah, I mean, if you win 3 championships, your name is going to be held in a lot different of a light. But that's also the fun thing is like, you could tell me any of these guys won 3 5 years from now have won 3 championships, and I wouldn't be shocked. And yeah, I love the NBA.
I love the NBA.
I love the NBA.
You know what's crazy is like, so off camera, there's this like Luka Doncic like sign thing, and like Luka Doncic is having like the greatest wing run to start a career since like LeBron James. Like his stats are even better than LeBron James's were, and like the guy is like, he's just not even gonna finish like top 3 in MVP with how talented the league is right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, literally, Luka's the start of his career. I think you can only put it with Magic and LeBron.
Yeah.
And
And
MJ.
MJ. It's like those are the only 3 people, and yet somehow we're not talking about him the way we're talking about these 2 centers. But that, again, it's what it comes back to with like the Halliburton versus Jokic thing. Is just like when your center is doing it, it is so much more impactful.
Absolutely. And I mean, the way these guys rebound is just like so, it's game changing in its own right.
Like it's crazy because last night, take away the points for Embiid and Jokic. Jokic had 19 rebounds.
Insane.
Joel Embiid had 10 assists.
Yeah.
Like these guys are so good, man.
Yeah. Jokic was really, really great in this matchup as well. I think it's pretty telling. Pretty much every other guy in the Nuggets starting lineup was either a 0 from Aaron Gordon or a like vast negative in the plus minus. Jokic was a +1, and he was in for all of those minutes where Embiid was just lighting the world on fire.
No, Jokic is awesome. And I love Embiid and Jokic, man. I kind of like also that the discourse between the two of them is like it was really toxic the last 2.5 years, like 3 years. And I feel like this year it's gotten to a much more like everyone's appreciating
absolutely
the 2 guys a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just cool. Like it's been a while since we had guys at the same position that are all at the top. Like, of course, we had the Paul George and Kawhi with LeBron, but they never really like ran into each other.
There was that Durant. Like I feel like the 2010s, like 2010 through like 2015 or 2014, it was like LeBron and KD were the best 2 players, the same position.
Yeah, the Warriors thing just always muddies.
The Warriors thing ruined
it
NBA
up.
history.
Yeah.
All right, should we get to hot streak shooting slump?
Yeah, let's get to hot streak shooting slump.
What was your week, man?
My week was pretty good. Very busy, running around. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any reason why it'd be a shooting slump, so I guess we're on a hot streak. My birthday is on Saturday.
But do you have a reason that it is a hot streak and not a shooting slump? Flipping it on you.
You know, just honestly, yes, I do. And it was the Phoenix Suns coming back from down 22 points to win against the Kings. In the fourth quarter, what has been our bugaboo all freaking year, that made my week. So yeah, that is my hot streak. Seeing the KD at the 5 lineup actually work. Oh my God, it was just, by 5 minutes left in that game, I was standing about 2 inches away from my TV, screaming my head off. It's why we're fans. That's just like, doesn't get any better than that.
You have a hot streak? You shooting slump?
Hot streak.
There we go.
I'm back, baby.
You're back.
Yeah, the Wolves on a 3-win win streak right now. Happy about that. Obviously, they did play the Pistons last night, so it's like,
hey, you got to beat whoever's in front of you.
The Raptors couldn't do it.
Yeah, and then I'm doing spring cleaning already. Like I'm cleaning old shit out of my closet that I've been meaning to do for like months. Donating shit to Goodwill. I'm cooking. Productive. I'm back.
Year, new max.
Let's
back, baby. Go.
Yeah.
We're so back. Yeah, I'm also on a hot streak. I've been only on hot streaks 2024. It's been a great year so far. Put out some more videos. My videos are doing really well on my channel. Is really happy about that. Having a lot of fun with this. As much as I love Jokic, I've been an Embiid fanboy since 2014, and my guy looks like he's headed for another MVP. I love watching them play. And also, football, the Cowboys got absolutely manhandled by the Packers. And then, as sweet as that was, I've always had like a soft spot for the Cowboys ever since the Des Bryant catch game. They felt like they kind of got cheated. Now the Packers beat them again. And Jesse's a Cowboys fan. This is his first year as a football fan, so I've been hoping they kind of keep doing well a little bit. I don't want them to win, but I want to keep them engaged. The fucking Eagles, man. I hate the Eagles. I hate the Eagles. I hate the Eagles fans, bro. The most obnoxious
Go Birds!
The most obnoxious fan base in all of sports. When you listen
Wait, you're
to
saying Philly fans are obnoxious?
Yeah. Yes. Dude.
Hot
the
take.
way the Eagles collapse, because you asked
Don't
me
listen to the end of this podcast, Sixers fans.
you asked me what NBA comparison there was to the Eagles. There's no comparison. This was the worst collapse in season for any pro sports team of all time.
Okay. I'll let you. What about the Warriors? They won 73 games.
But they
blew a 3-1 lead in the
They
finals.
lost Game 7 by, I think, 3 or 4 points.
Okay.
The Eagles lost to Tampa Bay, who is not good.
Bakey
The
football,
Eagles-
baby.
The Eagles, yes, AJ Brown was hurt. Still had like Donovan Smith. Like this team was still really good. They still this isn't like a team that lost their star quarterback. This is a team that was 10-1, was the first in the NFC, and completely fell apart after a game where the Niners, the team that has been talking shit about them for the last year, was like, oh, we figured out the Eagles' blueprint. Just have your edges play the B gap so that Jalen Hurts can't go through the middle of the pocket. And the Eagles can't win a game since Nick Bosa said that publicly.
Damn.
This team is pathetic. And I'm really happy about how beginning of the year, I was like, fuck, man, the Eagles are going to be so good forever. The Giants are fucked. This team is trash. I'm so happy they're so bad.
There we go. I'm happy that you're happy. I don't have a dog in the fight, but it's always fun to see some upsets. You got any hot takes for the games this weekend?
My preseason pick was Bills 49ers. I'm sticking with it, bro.
There we go.
I'm
There
not
we
afraid
go.
of Mahomes as a bandwagon Bills fan. Here we go, baby. Let's go.
Love that.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all we got.
All
That's
right.
all we
Thank you
got.
guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll catch you on Monday next week. Peace.